Okay, so I'm going to talk a bit about Sherbrooke Forest, and Jason is too. If you want to talk a bit about history, I'm going to talk about development.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right. Sherbrooke Forest was a creature of, guess, this is the test. A creature of, no. Sherbrooke Forest, a non-profit organization that is going to manage housing in NDG. Who do you think the mother is? No.
NDG Community Council?
Yay! Who gets the prize? This man gets the prize. Okay, so here's the thing. We need to understand that the NDG Community Council, starting in the 60s, remember that the man digging the foundation, he marries who becomes the NDG Community Council's executive director? Her name is Ann Usher. Don't forget that name. So Ann Usher, because she's really smart, she's a liberal and she's a community organizer and she's all that. So every 10 years in NDG, starting in 1973, NDG has what you call, a moment of reflection. All the community organizations come together in a room, 150 people or something like that, and they think, what do we need to do now? In 1973 they do one, and they do one in 1992, 93 I think. We have to do something to housing. We're going to create a child that's going to start to build and develop housing. So 2 babies come out of that process. I'm probably mixing up the history. One of them is a nonprofit called Sherbrooke Forest. So this is the history. It's actually born in 1992. Do you guys remember the Montreal Citizens Movement? Progressive Montreal Administration. They create a creature called the SHDM. And the SHDM, the city, is shedding workers, and we're in an economic trough in the mid 1980s. All the factories are closing, all the industrial capital is moving to Mexico and later on somewhere else, and all of our factories are closing. And there's a garage sale going on, real estate garage sale. The city of Montreal acquires lots and lots of housing. The SHDM is created. It still exists. There's a city of Montreal has a para-municipal that owns 6,000 units of housing. They own these buildings, and they make a management deal with the creature of the NDG Community Council called Sherbrooke Forest Nonprofit. We'll come back to HCND in a second. It's to you.
Okay. So what I'd like to talk about is talk about the history. We've talked a lot about housing. I just would like to mention the impact that affordable and subsidized housing has on a neighborhood. I did want to interrupt Amanda. I was the community organizer for Benny Farm for 2013 to 2017. What those young women have, I'm still in contact with probably about 10 or 12 that lived there at their time. Most of them have their masters. All of them have their bachelors, and some of them are studying to get their PhD. This housing for young women, housing for people who are somewhat marginalized and struggling to get their bills paid makes a big difference in people's lives. This is Sherbrooke Forest. Some of it is subsidized, but that is in no way a bad thing when I say this, but it's foisted onto the management of Sherbrooke Forest. So the OMHM will say we have somebody who needs a 2-bedroom, a 3-bedroom, and they'll place them in our housing. But our housing is lower than market. The formula that we have for lower than market that exists right now is we've been grandfathered in. Like it's very lower than market. Some of the 4.5s and 5.5s people might pay 800 or 900. I don't know anybody who's paying 1,000 at this point for a 4.5. So it helps the neighborhood. It helps the families, young families, people who are new arrivals. And we had a lot of community engagement. In 2013, I was the community worker for 2013 to 2017, and we still had the funding up until 2018. We had vernissages with Arts Week for the residents who lived here. You could see some of the stuff that we did. I have this to circulate around. We didn't have 1 or 2 talented artists. We probably had about 10 or 12 talented, enormously talented artists. We ran an art hive, and one thing about not having a lot of money, paint costs a lot of money. So the art hive was thriving. We had people every week. We made meals, and we had we really built a community. And then what happens, as Yusuf and Chris and Aris, we're all urban planners. So what happens in a place like this is that we have the pharmacy, we have the Provigo, we have the library, we have the pool, we have the 105 that brings you to the metro. You know, the 105 is a 10-minute route. That is a quality of life that the city of Montreal and urban planners think that this is a rich quality of life. And then they decide that even though we have a large amount of housing that's low income, they decide that this section is not marginalized because of all the beautiful things that they have, and they take money away from us. So we don't have community workers at Sherbrooke Forest. We don't have a community worker at Benny Farm because Benny Farm is not identified as a priority sector anymore, which is shameful because we had such an impact. We did activities every single week. We went to the Cabana Souk. The residents that live there have on their resume that they curated art shows. We had discussions. We did all kinds of stuff. And it's a shame because of the, I guess what we would call defensible space, and because of the environment around, it's been designated not a priority. Still, it is a priority. It is a fantastic place to live. You do have all these services, but I still think they could benefit from a community worker. I'm always going to think they could benefit from a community worker. So I'm just going to share. You guys could pass this around. These are just a few highlights. And I would like to mention that we had some wonderful people that were the part of Sherbrooke Forest. Arnold Bennett, who is the guru of housing rights. Rosemary Turpin, who is also a big housing advocate. Lucia Kowalak, who was part of the Milton Co-op. She was also part of helping this happen. A lot of, it was like a heyday of housing advocates and housing and advocacy for housing. And a lot of the housing advocates were here in Benny Farm and Sherbrooke Forest. And in the past, we used to do Jane's Walk with Rosemary, who sadly, she passed away. And Rosemary knew so much about the neighborhood. So some of us know that this strip was part of the Champlain Sea. This part of, right here on Sherbrooke, we were part of the Champlain Sea floor like 10,000 years ago. And we had to do excavation, and we had a tanker that was in one of the buildings, so we had to do a lot of work to get that, an oil tanker, to get it out. Is that what it's called? Like an oil tank.
Reserve? Some kind
Yes,
of,
yeah.
okay.
So we had to do a lot of work, and Rosemary ended up asking the workers for things that they found, and she found fossilized bones. She found all kinds of stuff that I probably still have at home that she gifted to me. So this was really a special time when we were making this housing, and it's always important, and you're here because you care about housing and you care about the environment, and it's always nice to have more people on board with us to advocate and to demonstrate, and we could always demonstrate how important it is for people to have access to affordable housing so that they could have a quality of life that helps them improve the situation around them. And that's it for me.
So many levels of detail. Is there not an anecdote? Like, 2 minutes? Does anybody have any questions? By a show of hands, who has never heard of Arnold Bennett? Never heard of him. Oh, you guys got to read your history. And all the other people, put up your hands. You've heard of Arnold Bennett. Arnold Bennett is a local saint. He really is. He's been doing free tenants' rights advice at the, since 1974 or something. What year is it now?
Yeah.
He's still doing it. How old is he? He must be 150 years old.
Probably just 75.
Yeah,
he started as a young man.
It's just incredible. And we're lucky to have people, like Arnold Bennett and like other
like Rosemary.
Like Rosemary.
Yeah,
And I do have a question, Sharon, because last time I came into one of the buildings, there used to be an archive,
yes.
and the building was smelly, it was closed. What happened?
Okay, so that would be the first building. What happened was they had to evacuate everybody.
Yeah.
I think they said the evacuation was going to be 2 months. I think it ended up being well over almost 18 months. so we didn't have access. When that happened, I'm still negotiating with the SHDM to have access to that place, because that place made a huge difference in people's lives, and it was close by. And fun anecdote, because of the Art Hive and because of donations and people giving us all kinds of stuff, somebody came and gave me a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful dress. And I didn't want to cut it up for fabric. And then I thought we could do a little prom exchange for the youth in the we thought for our buildings, we thought we would get 20 dresses or so. How many did we have that first year? Hundreds. And it ended up being a neighbor-wide event and not just for our residents. So a lot of wonderful things grow out of something like this. And the model of the SHDM and a lot of not-for-profits in the past have been to have a community room, and the community room has a real impact. And now a lot of us have community rooms. We don't have the funding to pay for a worker to have programming, or the programming group that was doing it, they didn't get money, so they step out. So these things are really important, and these things have an impact on people's lives. Yeah, yeah. And then there are some.
Is it closed now? Is it still
It's
closed?
closed, but I am talking with them to get access to it, and he says we got to go.
You can continue when we are in Bahamas.
When we are in Bahamas.
Yeah, the name of those bunch of private buildings is Bahamas,
It's the first building that these people built.